Here we go. Our final powerhouse, Woman of the Week, Women's Empowerment Week, brought to you by Noland Mastery. What a phenomenal week. One powerhouse lady after the next came up here, delivered their heart. And I promise you, we've got more power for you today. You want to talk about someone that is impacting lives all over the USA and throughout the globe. This is none other than Sherry Gideons. Sherry, welcome to the stage. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I am so happy and so excited to be here. The last one, just sharing my heart and my spirit with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I'm honored to have you here. You know, what's been amazing is that to get to know you over these past several months and having the power of something like Clubhouse bring so many people together and knowing there's all these there's light in the world from phenomenal people like yourself. Sherry, I know our viewers are going to want to know more about you, what you do, a little bit about your background. Maybe you can just give a quick bio on yourself. It'll be great for everyone to hear.
All right. So I'm a neurostrategist and a life mastery consultant. So I help people to really break through these false truths and false beliefs, this limiting habits of thinking they've created for themselves. And I help them to tap in, tune in, and turn on the gift that they are so they can live from their highest selves and really be the power that they are meant to be.
You know, Sherry, a lot of folks, you know, when they see like yourself having the successful career you've had, they're going, okay, I want to know about her. Where did she come from? Where were you born at? Like they just like get into your background so people can get to know the real Sherry, because you've been a blessing to me. Let's let the folks hear about where you come from.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much. Yeah. So starting out as a little girl, I was an Air Force brat and my dad traveled all over the world. And what happened was he was a perfectionist. And so he set that stage for modeled behavior in my life around the idea that I had to be perfect in order to be loved and accepted and approved of. And so as I went through the stages of my life, I was using food as a tool to feel safe and feel secure. And so I struggled with that, self-concept around obesity and the desire to be thin and beautiful. And what ended up happening, fast forward to the 80s, I ended up with my first husband in Germany. And I ended up joining the Army powerlifting team as an overweight woman, but with this deep desire to be beautiful and thin. And so I'm competing all over Europe, and we end up back in the US. And what happens, but that deep desire in my heart was so strong that I ended up attracting the pro bodybuilding world into my life. And before I knew it, I'm competing in the early days of the beginning of women's bodybuilding. And when that started, women looked, very fit and they had nice contours and curves. But what happened is the idea that began to evolve in society around women and muscle at the time began to evolve very quickly. And so women, as we probably all know today, were required to use steroids and other sports enhancement drugs to be able to meet up to that expectation of larger muscle. And in my case, I began to follow the opinions of others. And as a result of it, that old dialogue and that old belief inside myself kept telling me that I wasn't good enough, that there was something wrong. And in order to be approved of in the world, I needed to be, doing what everybody else did. And that ended up setting the stage for what we're probably going to talk about and share about.
You probably went on a ride. If you were part of the early women's bodybuilding, you probably seen some things that most people couldn't even imagine. Maybe let's kind of dig in behind that scene. Because, what was that like, Sherry?
Yeah. So for myself, because I attracted, everybody who was anybody in that industry, I was always an information absorber, and I'm visual and kinesthetic. And so I ended up just, being a person that would ask questions and say, show me how to create this body like that. And so that's what I began to do. And of course, I attracted steroid dealers and other people who at the time were using cocaine and then eventually methamphetamine. And so every show I did, there was always a new requirement. And the judges would say, okay, we want you to have a wider shoulder spread. We want you to have your side sweep, which is the side of your legs, tied in more to your butt. And there was always something that required me to have more muscle in a particular area. And I would do all that. And then I'd go to the next show, and there was something else that they would want. That wasn't good enough. Now there was something else that they would want. And so you have to realize we're all individual thinkers. And so for myself, I began to think, well, am I ever going to be able to meet up to the expectations or approval of this industry? And so I was willing to do anything. And so what ended up happening is I began to stop eating. I started to think to myself, well, if I can't meet up to this expectation, maybe that means I can't eat at all. So I began to starve myself. And it was during this time that I slipped to 78 pounds, desperate to be approved of the world so I could be myself. Isn't that what we all want to be?
Sherry, did you say 78 pounds?
78 pounds. And
so you went from one side to the next, right?
That's right. From being overweight and using food as a tool to deal with, my dissatisfaction of myself and my low self-esteem and low self-concept, to not eating at all.
Oh, that is like drastic. I believe there's a lot of women out there today that do drastic things because of the pressure that society puts on women. It's already like an unfair playing ground. And then let's go ahead and mix in that pressure. Maybe you could talk about that. How have you overcome some of these stereotypes and some of this pressure? Talk to the women out there that need that extra boost today to show them how you overcome those things, Sherry.
Well, let me just set the stage. So you have to realize 78 pounds, I ended up having a massive heart attack and dying. I had a near-death experience, and I had the experience that so many of us read about and hear about. I had my bottom, and I went to the other side, and it was on the other side that I was united with pure love. I was united with what we all seek, is to be loved and accepted and one with everything. And that's what was given to me, that gift. But the gift truly was being shown everything that I had given while I was in the body through all that I had given too. And as deep as it sounds, we're not judged the day we die. It's a loving experience. And then I was shown the many potential purposes that I came for in this lifetime. It's to do what I'm doing right now here with you, Jay. It's to impact women, to help women tap in to the gift that they are. That when we come from the heart, when we bring the heart to the head, that's the most powerful thing, because whether we realize it or not, our heart vibrates at 4,000 times more powerful than our human brain. And that gift was given to me. So when I was given the choice to come back into the body, I was told that I never had to worry, that all the right people would show up at the right moment to help me move forward. And so when I came back in, I didn't realize I wasn't going to be that woman that I was shown that day. I was just told to tell what I'm sharing with all of you right now. And so what ended up happening is the world in 1997 said, "You're nuts and you're crazy." But who could take that from me? No one can take from you the gift, the vision that has been given to you, because each of us is that special. And so I ended up losing every physical possession. I ended up gaining 100 pounds within a 3-month period. And I ended up homeless on the streets with my children. And that may seem very crazy and very painful and very adverse, but here's the true gift. The true gift is I learned what the moment does for each and every one of us. The moment is the gift, everyone, because it's in that moment that you have a choice. And the clearer and more specific we are with who we want to be, what we want to give to the world. I know I want to give my heart. I know I want to be in a moment right here with each of you, talking about how in every moment I have a choice to be in positivity. I have a choice to be in my own power. I have a choice to choose that I'm going to be out there in the world sharing tips and solutions with each of you and anyone that I come in contact with, so that I hope to plant within your own belief system and your own mind the power that you truly are. And that's what all of these experiences have done for me over the last 24 years. They have been here for me. They have been here to bring me these awarenesses, to live in the moment, and to create the life that I deserve to live, and each of you deserve to live as well.
Wow, 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 wow. This is what I'm talking about. This is the moments that we really are able to tap into, to be able to grab. That's why I want to bring all these ladies that are so powerful around me. And there's an amazing amount of them. But then you see the ones that stand out, like a Sherry that says, you know what? I've come through death. I mean, how much more of a loss can you have in life than to actually die? And she says she's come back. So what are you doing now on a day-to-day basis? What's your career look like? How are you able to take those experiences and help other people out there, Sherry? We really want to hear that.
Yeah. So day to day, what I really help people to really get clear about is where they're at right now. Because one of the things, my clients ask me every day is, so how do I develop the self-esteem and how do I build the confidence that you appear to have in your own life? And I like to speak about little metaphors or little stories, but think about it like this. So the biggest tree in the world, it grows from a seed, and that seed we can hold in between two fingers. And so whether we think we can or whether we think we can't, we are all right. And so self-esteem is how we value ourselves. And we start with one baby step, because people say, live in the moment. My God, that seems so hard. Well, you know what? If you think it's hard, then it's hard. But the idea here, you guys, is to be willing to have that desire in yourself to take one baby step in each moment of today. I mean, think about every philosopher, Jesus, Buddha, all these great philosophers, Einstein. What have they all said? They've said, live in the present moment and be in the moment. And so why is that? Because in every moment, we have a choice to identify with a challenging or negative belief or notice our thoughts about ourselves. And so, for example, I'm not clever enough to do that when you do something. When we say that to ourselves, I'm not clever enough. And we look for evidence that contradicts those statements. And what we really want to do is we want to build a positive relationship with ourselves. And we want to avoid this negative conversation. And we want to look to build positive relationships with people who make us feel good about ourselves and who help us to avoid the relationships that drag us down. Because how many people do we have that come into our lives and we have these really big, grandiose ideas, and they come in and they're like, well, that's too big of an idea. And so what I say, when people like that come along, take a deep breath, step back for a second, and realize, one, we don't have to buy into that opinion. We can step back as the observer and we can say, you know what? That's where that person is in themselves. But what I really desire in myself is to be in a moment right here with someone like you, Jay, talking about this positivity. Woo, as I define that and clarify that, the chills are running through my whole body. That's energy.
The same thing. The same time, I was like, "What?" Then I saw you doing that. What was that, Sherry? I mean, it happened. Tell people what just happened right there.
Well, because we're all energy, and we are all one. We are all aligned with this energy that's everywhere present. You can call it God. You can call it your higher power. You can call it the quantum field. You can call it the universe. You can call it infinite intelligence. There's so many names for it. But that beingness, that source, lives within us as us. But we can only access it to the degree we believe and to the degree we allow. And so when we start using our word, like I just spoke right now, what happens is we align with our power. That means we have the same power speaking through us, within us, from that source of everything that's present. And because I know this and I've developed this, what's happened is as I speak my clear word, I align with that God power in me saying, yes, Sherry. Yes, Sherry. Speak your truth, Sherry. That's who you are, Sherry. And then I get deeper and deeper with the clarification. What I want to be is in a moment at a gas station, at a grocery store, somewhere that allows me to speak to the hearts and the souls and the spirit within the person that comes into my presence. I want to travel all over the world, helping people of all ages be their true selves, speaking to people just the way I'm speaking to you right now, and speaking to the I am in them that says, wake up, you. This is the truth of who you are, and you are living your birthright, and you deserve it.
So there's so many people, they live or they're born and then they go to live and then they actually don't live. It's like folks are waiting to die. And I believe it's our responsibility to just tap on people and let them see that. And that's what I see you're doing so well. It's, you like that tap, it's kind of like that little plug, that little shock, zzz, and then wake people up. So how do people get a hold of you, Sherry? So if someone goes, I'm really resonating with her, I want to know how I could talk to her and learn more about you, or maybe even work with you. How did they go about doing that, Sherry?
Yeah, so they can find me either on my website at sherrygideons.com, or they can find me on my other website with my business partner, which is thoughtuniversity.online.
Okay, so Thought University Online, you said your partner, and I know a little bit about that partner. Maybe you can kind of dial that up and tell some folks how you've been able to attract one of the greatest relationships in the field that he's working in. Let's talk about him real quick.
Yeah, so as we align from this space of clarity, what happens is we begin to turn the dial up on our own inner tuner. I call it your vibrational reader meter. Or think about it when you turn the dial to the next station and you get the static in between, and you get to the station and it's a clear station. When we're very clear and we keep taking daily steps in ourselves, what happens is we will begin to attract what we are. And so that's how this happened with my business partner. I attracted one of the most well-known neuroscientists in the world, Dr. Jeffrey Fannin. And this man is so significant in all the things that I have worked very hard to develop in myself, because he's able to bring the science and bridge the gap between science and spirituality. And that's what we're doing together, is we're helping people to understand how it is that they're creating these old challenges and these past letdowns, and then how to take that from their brain and create what we call the alignment in our chakras. And that's all energy that's allowed to run through our chakras in a way that causes what we call the universe or the quantum field to do the work for us and bring everything we want into our lives in a way that we would call miracles, that really aren't miracles. They're everyday happenings. And so now I'm working with him, and that's what thoughtuniversity.online is all about. Is we do brain mapping, we do quantum realignment, and my goodness, we measure your fingers, the energy you're putting off of your fingers, and we can tell on the screen where your chakras are and your limiting beliefs in that moment.
From the fingers.
Yes.
This is powerful, man. So Sherry, there's some young ladies out there right now because of what's going on in the world in general. Then we throw the pandemic on top of it. Yeah. And most people have been at home and all these jobs are lost and people are scrambling. Do you have any words of advice, encouragement for that young lady out there, or that mother that's a single mother? And, have you ever been in that situation? Maybe you could talk a little bit about that. That would probably help some people.
Yeah, well, like I said, it goes back to being mindful in the moment of how are we connecting in the moment? Are we connecting to, the past programming and the past letdowns and the things we learned in childhood? Or are we ready to really tap in to what's happening right now? And I always tell people, take a deep breath. That's the first and foremost when you're dealing with anything, whether it's a pandemic or whether it's any challenge in the moment. Take a deep breath and put your shoulders back and just breathe, and then let it out, and do it again and let it out. Because what that does in that moment is it grounds you. And then what I do is I sit on my own shoulder and I look as the observer. And I look at my behavior and I look at what I'm dealing with in the moment without attachment. Because here's a real awesome gift, is we don't realize in the moment when we're letting a challenge have power over us, what we're doing is we're attaching that to that same vibration and that same energy that's in front of us in the moment. And what happens is because we get more of everything that vibrates from that frequency. So once again, how do I change that? Here's a funny little thing that I do, and you're going to think this is absolutely playful and silly, but I do what's called laughing Buddha. And I just start laughing hysterically. And you guys are probably thinking, oh my God, she's like over the top right now. But doing that, you guys, literally.
I'm doing it right now, man. It feels good. I do it too. Sometimes when I get a hit, Sherry, when you said that, I'm like dead on. Because sometimes when I got a lot of stuff coming at me, I'll just start laughing out loud,
yes,
and
yes.
And it changes the vibration for some reason. It changes.
You know what it does?
It
releases acetylcholine. It releases acetylcholine. And what happens is all of a sudden you're aligning your whole autonomic nervous system and your heart. You're aligning with that higher feeling. I mean, I'll even do things like a sugar boom, boom, boom. That's my saying, my anchor. And that just brings me in. But you have to realize, everyone, I've trained myself to do this. I've chosen that I would much rather align with joy and happiness and fun. Because remember what we said, what you're aligning with is the cause of what is showing up in your now moments. So if you're aligning with negativity, you're putting that out into the field, out into the universe, and you're going to pull back every moment a mirror showing you a piece of yourself, who you're being. But when you instantaneously own your power and do something as simple as that, laughing Buddha, then guess what happens? You're putting out joy into the field, laughter into the field, and you're bringing back more of that. It's that simple.
Speak to that single mom, don't know which way to go. Can you give them any advice? Can you give her any advice?
Yeah, it's going back to what I said right now. There's no such thing as anything other than the now. And you can't change what you're not aware of. So when you're aware that you're in that moment, you're a single mom. I've been a single mom. And when you're in that moment of fear and you don't know, what step to take next, the most powerful thing you can do is get centered, is take that deep breath and get grounded. And then ask yourself, remember, that higher self is inside of you. And you can only access it to the degree you allow. Get out of the way of the how. The how is none of your business. But here's a question I want you to realize, is the quality of questions you ask yourself determines the quality of life you live. So ask the question, what next? That simple, from getting still and centered, that simple question will be answered through the cereal box at the grocery store, through a person that calls you up on a phone, by going somewhere in the moment, driving somewhere, and the street sign up on the billboard, driving down the freeway, says you have not been forgotten. You can make a difference. The answers will be brought to you from everywhere, but you have to open yourself up to see and hear and believe and get out of the way of the how, because the how can show up for each and every one of you through every avenue, channel, and opportunity, because God is infinite. You just need to get out of the way, because I promise you, that's how it happened for me. I got out of the way and I started surrendering in the moment. And I started allowing the how to show up. And it did. The next breadcrumb. Remember what I said in the beginning? I was told that I never had to worry, that all the right people would show up at the right moment to help me move forward. And I'm one with you. I'm not separate from you. That message wasn't only for me. It's for you too. And I promise you, when you begin to take moment to moment steps in doing this, your life will change, and you'll look back and you'll say to yourself, I remember Sherry Gideons saying that. And your life will be amazing. And I'm telling you, it's possible for each and every one of us.
Man, that's exactly what I know so many people needed. It really touched me. And I think, your energy is part of the inspiration for the new book I've got coming out called The Power of a Woman from the Perspective of Real Men. We're just about this close to finishing the edits, and I cannot wait for this to get out into the world. But when I say to Sherry Gideons, this powerhouse woman, I say, Sherry, the power of a woman from the perspective of real men. What comes to mind from the title of that book?
A man that sees a woman for her true self, her true power, and allows her to dare to be herself. I mean, I love to tell people my age because I'm 56 years old and I'm playing full out. And I don't care what people think. That's the greatest gift that I learned from my own personal development is the more that I dare to be myself and I allow my own voice and I allow the spirit within me to speak through me, I don't have to worry about trying to convince people of what's right or what's wrong. I allow myself to be a vessel to be spoken through. And I trust that and I allow that. And so, for men to support women, that means that masculine man has come into alignment with his own feminine energy as well and realizes there's no separation between any of us. Every single one of us is united in what I like to call one spiritual nation. And that's the power that's happening right now. Is we're realizing that we're not separate. Yes. We're one.
That's right. We're one. We are one. What a powerhouse interview this has been. This beautiful conversation with this beautiful soul called Sherry Gideons. How you guys are feeling? I know we got some chat boards out there that are going to be hitting on different chat boards. There will be thousands and thousands of people that will see the replay of this. I can't wait for you to be able to tune into that. And if you are tuning in, Sherry and I both love you. But let's get some of these comments. Sherry is remarkable. Thank you so much for sharing. Wow. Powerful. My beautiful friend. Love this. That's awesome. Boom. Sherry, you got a boom today. I'm loving this feedback. So Sherry, you got the floor to be able to close us out here. Give us some closing comment, something from your heart, a message that will be able to take people as they leave us, but we're always together. Over to you, Sherry.
Well, I just want everyone to know that you are an absolute gift, that the law of the universe says yes to each and every one of you and all of the things that you truly want from your heart. And it's time to change your mind and to change your life in a direction that serves you, the direction that reflects and shows the power that you truly are, because that is your birthright. Every single one of us deserves good and greater good. And so I'm just saying to you right now, listen, what you're seeking is always seeking you. Let go of the need for approval and the need for acceptance. I did that once. And what I truly realize is when I stand in my own power and my own love of who I am, then that's what brings everything to me. That's what brings good and greater good and more opportunities and the things I desire. So right here and right now, just remember, you are a gift and the power is within you, and tap into that. And be that each day and enjoy your life. Love your life.
Yes. Enjoy your life. Well, I've enjoyed this time I've spent with you, Sherry. Thank you so much for pouring. Yes. You've helped so many people with this message. And you know what? You're to be honored. You're to be highly favored because you are that powerful woman. And guess what? You came in and you were batting cleanup right here at the end of the week, and you knocked it right out of the park. Thank you so much, Sherry Gideons, for sharing your love and your knowledge today. We appreciate you. Thank you to all of our audience for tuning in. Sherry, till the next time, everybody, to the next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you.